Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Adventures in History. I'm your host, a very tired Chain. It's been a long week. It's like the last couple of weeks of term. Hey, Nix, good to see you. Last couple of weeks of term, emails are blowing up. So much grading. Brain is just kind of fuzzy. Actually fell asleep watching Steve the other just a bit ago, sitting on the couch like with my keyboard in my lap, like it's been a long one. I'm pretty tired, but I'm in good spirits. Just kind of sleepy. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope that the world is treating you awesome, very nice like. The show, as always, is Adventures in History, where we talk about history, and we make fun out of history, and we also make fun of history sometimes, because, you know, these people are goofy and they do dumb stuff, just like we're kind of dumb sometimes, too. Yeah. Hey, Kyle, good to see you. I'm here, I'm not late, I swear. Hey, Figment. Lots of stuff that you'll probably dig tonight, Figment. I think this is kind of in your wheelhouse. So, yeah. To fill everybody in, if you are... And here comes Steve! Steve! Are you not entertained? Dude, I just... you missed it, but I just confessed to literally falling asleep while you were playing Stones Hard. I've been so busy today. I was like, oh, I can catch like 45 minutes of Steve's channel before I got to go set up for stream. And I talked like a little bit, and then I was just like... So if you're wondering why my chat suddenly fell off of a cliff, it's because I fell into a deep slumber. Luckily, Brittany came into the living room and was like, hey. I was like, huh? Oh, yeah. Hey, Steve. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, everybody, from Steve's channel. If you don't know me, my name is Shane. I am a college teacher. I teach history and sociology. But here on stream, we hang out, we talk history, and we have a good time and talk about stuff that is really important to how we got to where we became the way that we are, and stuff that doesn't necessarily get covered a lot in the textbooks. Off to time with the kids. Awesome. Steve, thanks again for the raid. You are far super duper supportive with the raids. I know that you can raid literally anybody else on Twitch. I really do appreciate you bringing your friends here. And, you know, a lot of the people in Steve's chat are my friends, too. I hang out over there quite a bit. So if you don't already know Steve, please do go give Steve a follow. Steve is one of the, like, if I had to create, like, a four horsemen of the Twitch apocalypse that I would ride with, Steve would be in that group. So he's one of my favorite streamers on Twitch, and I think you'll have a good time if you go hang out in his chat. So... go do it. He's got hot takes on basically anything. So, and he's a smart dude, so he can like actually back up his hot takes. It's not just like, I saw this on Twitter, so I'm gonna say it. Dibs on death. Right now, I kind of feel like is slumber one of the horses of the apocalypse? Like, can we push the apocalypse off for like maybe 20, 30 minutes for me to get another nap? I do want to take a moment before we sort of kick off the stream to let everybody know about what I'm going to be participating in for the next 3 streams. So you see here I've added not just the little Discord command, but another command that says starlight. And you can see here that we've got a little donation goal. So I am participating in a charity event called the 12 Days of Streaming that is being put on by a group of people that are supporting the Starlight Children's Foundation. Starlight is a charity that helps kids that are in the hospital try to find ways to enjoy their time. and they do a lot of work with trying to get games and stuff like video games into hospitals, especially for children that are kind of long-term patients. Because let's just be honest, right? It's hard for kids just to be in the hospital. It's hard for anybody to just be in the hospital. But, if you're there for a long time, you're missing your friends, you don't really have too terribly much to do. It's fun to play some stuff to help you pass the time and take your mind off of what's going on. So if you would like to, and you are in such a position to be able to, click that link there in the chat, and it will take you to my donate page. We're trying to get to $100 in the next 3 streams. If we blow that out of the water, that would be awesome. If we get there, we get there. But if not, at least we'll get something to try to help some really good charity. I did a lot of research on the charity and looked it up. They do spend a substantial portion, way, way, way into the high majority of their funds actually on the charitable stuff themselves. They don't have a really big overhead. Most of the websites that sort of aggregate and look at charities give them like 5-star or thumbs up ratings. So this is not one of those charity drives where you give something to somebody and then somebody goes and flies around on a private jet with it. I would not have supported a charity that I didn't personally feel like would be worthy of promoting. So if you want to throw some money in that direction, please do so. It'll pop up here on a little tracker, and we'll have ourselves a bit of a hootenanny if we end up hitting that donation goal. So that will be going on for tonight's stream. I am also going to run that next Tuesday. Next Tuesday we would normally be off because we only do viewer request streams every other Tuesday, but I owe you all the History of Middle Earth stream. So next Tuesday we'll be doing History of Middle Earth, and you can donate then. Or next Thursday, when we will be talking here at Adventures in History again, you can donate then. And we will do what we can. But Shane, think of all of the exploring you could do with your own personal jet. Yeah, I could, but I also think about things like how much carbon that would throw into the atmosphere, and I have a problem. I don't know. This is going to sound like probably super like first world problems kind of thing, but there's a certain point where I feel like, and this will, I guess maybe, I don't even know. There's a point where possessing wealth for the sake of possessing wealth just gets unethical to me. And I don't think I ever want enough money. Well, I mean, I guess it would be nice to have, but I don't think I ever want a private jet. Like, just to be honest, that seems way excessive. I mean, it would be a nice thing if I could just pick up and fly to somewhere and have dinner. Nix! You are awesome. Thank you for that donation. And the kids appreciate it too. All you have to do is tell all the poor people to do their part to offset your jet carbon emissions. Oh yeah, because if I recycle, Jeff Bezos's plane gets to fly for free. Right? That's how it works, right? A teleporter, right. Now, if you're talking about a teleporter, assuming that the electrical power doesn't, blow up the grid, a teleporter would be awesome. If we could just, beam ourselves over, beam me up Scotty kind of stuff. If we could run that ethically without having to rely on massive amounts of fossil fuels, dude, I'd be teleporting everywhere, right? It's science. Anonymous donator, woo! $40. Maybe I should have made this a lot higher. Good gracious. I don't know why that's not showing up on the donator there. Why isn't that showing up? Maybe it takes it a little while. This is actually the first time that I've been exposed to Tiltify, so I will apologize. It actually was one of the few things that I managed to get done today that I feel like I did right, and now I'm wondering if I even did it right. I don't know why that didn't show up. It is okay. There it goes. Okay, it's a delayed reaction. It's a delayed reaction. All right, cool. Thank you so much, anonymous gifter. You are awesome. Hello, Lumpy Dragon Potato. Welcome, friends. Welcome. Unless you're bending space and time, teleporting means death and your clone living. As long as my clone is exactly the same as me physiologically and mentally, I really don't have a problem with that. Yeah, if it's making a copy of me that then has to get shot in the head and thrown into some weird patch of northern state New York where Tesla had his lab thing, I don't want that to happen, right? The Prestige Conundrum, yeah, that's such a great movie. Well, I mean, it's not like a great, like, amazing movie, but it's really cool. Too much walking. Lumpy, I did walking today. I've been trying to work off Thanksgiving weight, and I've been doing a lot of squats today. So my quadriceps are just, they're not happy. They are very much not happy at me. So, achy leg crew. Woohoo! If you are not already following my friend Lumpy Dragon Potato, you should totally go follow Lumpy, who is a great streamer that does Minecraft stuff, which is amazing and great. And I'm so bad at talking today. I saw Magnificent. Hey, Meg, good to see you. Hope things are well in your world. Not great and amazing. I don't know. Kyle, I don't even know what I'm responding to now. Just make sure you get the nice little ossuary tube, and that's fine. Lumpy, you're a great person. What can I say? It is what it is. I tell the truth. It's my thing. Well, I mean, like, as a story, it's a good story, but like, it's not the world's best movie, right? I overestimated the words here. It's a really good movie, and I enjoyed watching it, and I had a good time with it. But it's not like Oscar-winning performances from the actors. Hey, Ajana, good to see you. Hope everything's well in your world. Okie doke. So let's talk Constantine. Well, obviously, Seven Samurai is the world's best movie. That's hard, man. That's a really hard thing to say. I don't... we might have to argue about that one. There's a sci-fi story about a plane load of people who get kidnapped by aliens. Is that Langoliers? Is that Stephen King's Langoliers? Or is that the Time Eater thing? I haven't seen Langoliers in so long. The twist is that their copies in the original plane carried on to its destination normal, and the people lived on normally. Oh. Well, that's an interesting ethical conundrum and philosophical issue. I think Langoliers has something to do with, like, aliens that eat time. I'm really not sure. It's been a long time. And that movie was really bad. And I haven't read the book, so I'm ignorant of the story. Okay. Let's talk Constantine. Okay, so we cover history here on Thursday nights in order. Hey, Joey. And we have been talking about Romans. We've been talking about Romans.
Lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him.
You got 4.5K, a 5K goal raised. We're $50 into our $100. I might end up changing the goal on mine to... so by the way, DJ Jana here in chat, you should go give her a follow too. DJ Jana is the streamer who turned me on to the 12 days of streaming charity in the first place. I've probably given her what I would consider to be at least 6 mental breakdowns because I don't respond to messages and I'm really slow to do stuff. But I mean, I got it all worked eventually. And I'm plugged in and everything, so we're all good. I'm just bad at conversation in general. I was saying words. Oh, so I am part of her larger network that was trying to raise $5,000 for the charity drive, and apparently we're already 4.5K of that 5K raised. So we're doing pretty great, but that should not discourage you. In America, we don't just win; we win big, and the rest of the countries should prove that they're. I don't even know what I'm trying to do right here. I'm sorry. This was a bad decision. I'm just going to cut that whole line of conversation. I'll edit this out of the VOD. Moving on to Constantine, the Keanu Reeves movie. So Keanu Reeves' Constantine got a lot of flack, but I'll have to tell you that as somebody that really enjoys the Constantine comic book, I enjoyed the devil out of that movie, and that was a bit of a pun because he has, it's got the devil in it, right? And it's actually one of the better portrayals of the devil that I've ever seen in a movie. I have a very warm spot in my heart for the Constantine movie with Keanu. How historically accurate was the movie? Not at all. Just not at all. It was horribly historically inaccurate. Yes, my coffee, indeed. I love Constantine movies. I'm sorry, comic books. Good gracious. I mean, the movie was... I really like Constantine comic books. I've read all of the ones that were like in the Swamp Thing where he first showed up, and I've read all of the big like Vertigo stuff. You love Peter Stormare, but not as the devil in Constantine. Really? Oh man, that's one of the best versions of Devil ever. Like the best versions of the devil ever. I love the way that they dressed. Like his costuming was okay. I've got to talk about history. It's easy to tangent me off sometimes. So we cover history in chronology, and we're talking about the 4th century, which is the year 300. Are we talking about the 4th century? No, we're talking about the 5th century. No, we're talking about the 4th century. Yeah, because it's the 300s to the 400s. So the 300s to the 400s of the common current era, where the numbers are going up. And we cover things in regions. And we've been talking about basically the globe. We start over here on the date line, and we've talked about Japan and Korea and Southeastern Asia and China and Central Asia and India and Persia. And now we're going to talk about Rome. And I know that this might seem super self-indulgent, but as a note, I'm kind of a Roman dude. I'm not like from Rome, but Rome is sort of my wheelhouse when it comes to history. I am probably super biased towards them, and we're going to spend a little bit of time in Rome. So for the next few weeks, we're actually going to be talking about Roman stuff. Because especially in Western culture, so much of our world goes back to Rome. And I know that this, again, might seem super biased, but I would like to point out that I do try to cover everything that's going on in the whole world, right? So I'm not just like picking these people out and saying that they're the most important things ever, but the stuff that we're talking about tonight has a really big lasting repercussion on so many things. This period of time in Europe is one of the more pivotal dominoes that falls in a really long chain that leads us to where we are today. So I'm not trying to blow it out of the water or blow it out of proportion when I say that Constantine's one of the more important figures in history. He really is. The best devil is Viggo Mortensen in The Prophecy. I haven't seen that movie, so I need to go check that out because I think Viggo would play the devil well. He's got that kind of dour disposition. You have a fun but slightly hot button issue, but you'll keep it 4 away. Oh, you could throw it in there. You might get more hot take out of me when I'm sleepy than when I'm more composed. You're welcome to always throw tangents out there. It's perfectly fine if you want to go ahead and throw that out. Okay, so see, there it is. Tangents welcome just popped up in the chat. You might notice that I have the adventure hat handy. We'll be using the adventure hat a lot tonight because as it so turns out, I've been to a lot of this stuff because it's kind of, again, it's like my world, my little wheelhouse. So we last left... Oop, that's the wrong button. When we last left Rome, we were talking about the reign of this guy named Diocletian. And Diocletian was the Roman emperor that started ruling in 284. And over the course of the next 20 or so years, he basically managed to sort of pull Rome out of this really big, giant civil war mess. And he created this thing called the Tetrarchy, where there were two parts of Rome. There's Eastern Rome and Western Rome, and they had junior emperors and senior emperors, and he had tried to fix the big inflation problem and tried to fix some of the military problems. And he was a pretty effective ruler and a pretty good guy. Sings Istanbul at Constantinople. Hey, Shmonite, what's up? Welcome, welcome. So the opinion hat has been redeemed. Oh, wow. Let me put on the opinion hat. The hat that makes me look rather opinionated. The whiteness of marble statues versus their actual coloring. Natalie Wynn did a fun segment about it in one of her videos. What's my opinion? Well, here's the deal. Some of the statues, as they are being shown now, are probably in the actual way that they would have been displayed. And I know that the sort of hippy-dippy thing is to say, oh no, they were all painted. Some of them pretty clearly were, because not we, like me, been involved or anything like this, but, some people, have gone to do surface testing on these people, and they found natural pigments still stuck in the marble, right? So it's pretty clear that some of these were painted, and they were probably painted in colors that would have made them look fairly lifelike. And yeah, a lot of it did sort of just wash away in time. Let's also remember that a lot of this stuff was buried for, hundreds of years. So yeah, it's going to fall apart. But some of these weren't painted. And I know that makes some people upset. They're like, but I was told they were all painted. Not all of them were. Some of them were. And that's okay. They always make the painted versions look so garish. Yeah, and see, that's the part of the problem. Like, when they do these recreations, a lot of these recreations are based on, let me find the worst high saturated colors and just try to blow all this stuff out of proportion, because it's we're trying to create some sort of oh, look at how the statue would have looked. It would not have looked like that. People just like to be flashy and try to get people's attention. So the hot take on that is, yeah, some of them were painted, and no, they probably didn't look like the recreations that the people did. And no, not all of them were painted. Some of them were just look, it's a hollow-eyed statue. And that's just the way that it was. And that's okay. But the problem with, and this will get to the real part of the opinion, the problem with a lot of people is that they expect everything to be sexy, right? And when I say sexy here, I mean intellectually attractive. So they try to flash everything up. Oh, look, we're going to make this all flashy and hip, and people will click on it and look, because, look at this horrible statue that we've painted. We also should not repaint those statues, because, first off, we don't really know how they made their ancient paint 100% of the time. Number two, it just would be a bad idea, right? No, let's just not do that. And number three, you're going to get somebody to do it and make it look like some of that dumb stuff in the videos, and it's just not going to look good. It's just not going to look good. So, what we think they were painted doesn't mean it's what they think it was painted. And I know that hurts some people's minds and hurts some people's opinions, but, it was the opinion hat, so... You should definitely check it out. It's not a great movie. You can imagine Christopher Walken as Gabriel. Oh? Does he come and blow his horn? Senior and junior emperors like company executives. Tegman, it really sort of was like that. The Tetrarchy was sort of like a business model. It really was. Let yourself be judged by the void behind the gaze of the hollow-eyed statue. It was a measured opinion. It's okay. I do sometimes like to couch my opinions in actual history fact because it makes them feel a little bit less pointy. Right? You just kind of mix it in a little bit. So maybe I should have worn like both hats at the same time. Anyway, so Diocletian, he fixes the empire, he creates this tetrarchy thing, and, you know, everything is fixed, right? Well, here's the thing. Diocletian and the guy that's the other senior emperor, this guy named Maximian, they both decide that it's time to retire. Well, actually, Diocletian decides that it's time to retire, and he sort of forces the other guy into it. And this was a purposeful decision. This concept was, look, we will retire because we're both getting old. And we will show that the system works because when the senior emperors retire, the junior emperors get elevated to senior emperors, and then they pick new junior emperors. And this is the way that the system was supposed to work. And Diocletian wanted to show that the system would work. So he retired, and he actually went off to the Balkan Peninsula where he took up gardening, like actual retired, right? Like, I used to be emperor, now I'm a gardener. And that system lasted for kind of a hot second. And let's kind of pick up with where we are right now. So technically at the moment we have two emperors. We have one guy named Constantius and one guy named Galerius. And these are your senior emperors. And if we're just talking about what they look like, boom, here we go. Here's Constantius. Nice brow line, nice, good beard, strong neck. That looks like he has pretty clearly done neck exercises. On the back of the coin here, we actually have the 4 tetrarchs because they picked new junior emperors, right? So the 2 new junior emperors are a guy named Severus and a guy named Maximinus. So, look, we're carrying on the tetrarchy. Look at us. We are 4 people, and we're all sacrificing to the gods. Woo! And here we have a coin of Galerius. Galerius, look at the big, thick neck. This guy doesn't skip neck day ever. Looking like a proper emperor man yet. I don't know what this guy looks like. He looks sort of like he was drawn by John Romita Jr. because he's kind of boxy. I don't know. So these 2 guys are emperor now. And the thing about doing the Diocletian model is that you couldn't pick your son, right? You can't pick your kid to be the junior emperor, because the whole system was set up to try to prevent these weird dynastic disputes that had plagued Rome for generations. They're trying to get rid of these things, these dynasties, because you end up with weird kids taking over the throne, and you end up with your Neros and your Caligulas and your Domitians and your Elagabaluses, these really weird emperors that don't rule very well. So they need to pick legitimate, proven people that have good track records, that are capable of being good rulers when they get there. So Constantius and Galerius pick their junior emperors, and they sort of go about their business. And this is where I get to put on the adventure hat for the first time. Because really weird emperors with equally weird names. So if you want the other 2, so these 2 are the senior emperors. The junior emperors are like Severus Snape. Am I going to be able to fit all this stuff in here? Yeah, close enough. We'll just make it work, right? I'll just move everything around. So we've got 2 senior emperors. We've got Constantius and Galerius. We have 2 junior emperors. We've got Severus and Maximinus. So let's go look at some pictures. This is in modern-day Thessaloniki, which is in Greece. And what we are looking at here are the remains of Galerius's palace in Thessaloniki. And you can literally just walk down the road. You can tell that this is a residential area. I purposefully chose these particular pictures because all of the other ones, well, I don't know. I guess I could have thrown it in there. Nobody would have really cared. There is a weed shop right behind this wall. It's got a really big marijuana leaf on the front of the building. So I was trying to I was trying to not show the marijuana symbol or leaf. I don't know, like marijuana symbol. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, this is the big remains of the palace. It was a very large complex, and yes, it is sort of here in the middle of the road. Pot leaf, yeah. You can tell that this is a really multi-storied kind of building. There's another structure that's over here that I've got some pictures of that was later turned into a church, but that's mostly because Galerius is kind of a jerk. Galerius hates Christians and did a lot of persecution of Christians. And one of the things that the Christian church loved to do once it took over was take buildings that used to be part of things that were pagan and turn them into Christian church stuff. So part of Galerius's palace actually got turned into a church to kind of give him the historical middle finger. But you can tell that this is a really tall building. This would have been a 2-floor structure, probably had a basement, so maybe even 3 floors if you count the basement. Hey, Vipers, good to see you, man. And also, hey, Batbird, I don't think I said hey to you. Hello, welcome. So you can see here some very nice brickwork. These bricks are not modern. These are actually ancient. Ancient brick and mortar work. These would have been decorative. You can see here that they have sort of a brick and open space. So this area right here would have been plastered over. So you kind of have this red and white plastered look. You can see here these little square holes would have been for wooden beams that would have supported the different floors, and this here would have been like the really big floorboards of the upper story. So, archaeologists, we're digging for pots, building across from the street. Did somebody say pot? Yes, actually, that's correct. You're the kind of guy who visits Jerusalem and does not go to the sex shop. Dude, there's so many sex shops in Jerusalem. I'm in Mississippi, and no, it's not legal. We actually voted for it to be legal for medicinal purposes, and then our state changed or challenged that in court, and it got thrown out because of a technicality. And then our state government refuses to change the law to fix the technicality, so we don't even have legal medical weed right now because our state is run by a bunch of really, really greedy Republicans. And I'll say that to their faces. And I have said that to at least one of their faces. So, yeah, that'll kind of get me on a side tangent. And if you really want to hear the hot take on that, I might have to hang around after stream or something. But yeah, it's really, really messy. You remember the Shane rant about that getting thrown out? No, Missouri and Mississippi, we're not too terribly far away. We're both very conservative states. Missouri is a little bit ahead of us when it comes to progressive ideas and ideology. I don't know what the state of marijuana is in Missouri, but it's a common thing. We both hit the Mississippi River. Don't feel bad about it at all. All right, so this is the situation that we've got going on right here. It's kind of messy. Aw, Lumpy. I mean, if I can be a representative of the U.S. and I can change people's minds about what typical U.S. people are, I really do take that as a charge. I don't like being the standard American when I'm visiting other countries. I try to be respectful. I try to learn the language of the people that I'm going to be around. I'm not as successful in that as I would like to be. I am never loud. I don't wear shirts that have basically giant English letters everywhere I go. I try to wear drab colored regular clothes that don't stand out and be all garish and weird. I do smile a lot, and that probably throws some people off. But I try to be a decent person, and I really do try to be a good representative of my country when I go to foreign places because we do get kind of a bad rap. A blue dot in the red Southern Sea, indeed. If the USA is so great, why did they have to invent USB? Well, I would say that if USB was so great, why are they on like 4 different versions of it now? Why didn't they get it right the first time? And they had to even sort of make a halfway thing, like now they have USB A. So is that like them trying to go back to USA? In New Jersey, it just became legal for recreational use. Ah, cool. You've only ever come across American tourists in Norway, and they've always been on their best behavior. Excellent. I am glad for that. Okay, so here's the deal. Some crazy stuff goes down with Constantius. All right, Constantius runs basically this part of the empire of the new tetrarchy. And Constantius was up here fighting in Britain. The Roman province was Britannia. And there were some problems going on up here with a group of people called the Picts. This is Picts. And some Angles. This is Angles. Not like, like geometric angles. They were being a bit obtuse. But anyway, the idea here is that they're up there fighting, and Constantius has his son with him, and his son's name is Constantine. And Constantius is struck suddenly by a sickness. This is not like suspected murder. There's nothing fishy about this. He was already kind of an older guy. And he just kind of gets sick. And on his deathbed, he kind of calls in his son. And he goes, look, you should take over the army. They trust you. You've been with them. We're sort of out here right on the lines of the enemy. They need a good leader. You lead my people and you lead my army back and make sure that they all get there. And then Constantius dies. And Constantine has to go out to tell the soldiers, like the emperor has died. And I need to sort of reiterate here, one of the things about the new tetrarchy system was that these soldiers and the armies that they were in had become fairly closely tied to their regional emperor, because with 4 emperors, you got a lot of exposure to the person that was sort of in your zone. And these people were really, these soldiers were apparently, according to all the sources, really close to Constantius. So when he died, he really did probably feel some sort of need to take care of them. So Constantine kind of goes out to address the troops. And when he says, my father has died, the troops go, Imperator. And this is, they hail Constantine emperor. And this is where things are going to go a little bit awry. You could post an interesting video on the history of USB. I'm fairly familiar with the history of USB, but if you want to post it, you're welcome to. I'm sure that other people will be interested. They have asked when the show starts about the Midnight Sun, though. Oh. Well, I mean, some of the only exposure that Americans have to Norway is the immigrant song of Led Zeppelin. And they know that you have ice and snow, and they know that you have the midnight sun and the hot springs blow. So that's kind of all that they might know about the region. And one guy asks how many feet we were above sea level while literally standing on the dock next to the cruise ship he came on. The Midnight Sun guy was ticked when he found out that it was the same sun as they had in America. I mean, like, was there supposed to be a special hidden sun? Like, it gets dark, and then right at midnight, this new sun pops up, and it's like, hey, I'm the Midnight Sun, and then it goes away immediately, and then the big sun comes back up. And it was supposed to be a second sun. Oh. This is what I try not to do. This is what I try to avoid. Anyway, we're not making a lot of headway with this. Anyway, Constantine gets hailed emperor. The troops acclaim him to be emperor. This is a big problem because when a senior emperor died or quit, the junior emperor was supposed to roll up to the next level. And you weren't supposed to pick your sons. But now we have this entire Roman army who has hailed Constantine to be emperor. And what that meant was they thought he should be emperor. And what that also meant was they would be willing to fight to make him emperor. How were the junior emperors selected? So when the junior emperors rolled up to senior, the senior emperors then got to pick whomever they wanted to that they felt was a good leader, except for they could not pick their sons. Did we have two sons and one just hides until midnight sun time? Yeah, right. So, yeah, we've got a big problem in the system. And this, by the way, this acclamation happens in 306. So Constantine becomes an emperor in 306. But it doesn't sit well with everybody else. Because this throws a gear or a wrench into the gears, right? Everybody gets messed up now because everybody that was the son of any of the other emperors was like, what about me? Can I not be emperor? But this guy gets to be emperor? What's the deal here? And what this does is it starts a big civil war. And it's a pretty bad civil war, too. Also, Constantine looks like this. This is one of the more famous statues of him. This would have been from what was, at the time, probably the largest statue on Earth. This head right here is probably 3.5, 4 meters tall. So that's about, math. Like 12 or 13 feet tall. His neck looks like he should have put in a few more reps to be emperor. Yeah. Feel the judgment in his eyes. Feel the judgment. Constantine is watching you. Hi there, I'm Constantine. Anyway, this particular statue is described to have basically shown him in the dress of a particular solar deity named Sol Invictus, which was a very popular deity at the time in Rome. It's good that this civilization was so good at sculpture, so we know what they looked like. Absolutely. I think it's amazing. And I really wish that there were more statues like this that come from other parts of the world. I wish that the statuary thing had caught on a lot faster, especially in places like Asia, because it's really, really hard to get an idea of what a lot of the emperors of China looked like. And some of these people were incredibly fabulously wealthy. Some of the emperors of China were the richest people on the earth at the time, and we don't have a single statue of them. And it's really kind of weird, but it's just cultural differences, right? So what ends up happening here is this big war breaks out because woodblock prints. That's true. That is true, Batbird. There's definitely some there's some emphasis there on creating like papercraft kind of art. Celtic statues, on the other hand, yeah. In Celtic statues, everybody just kind of got like a blank face, but that's okay too. I don't know. Not all the Celtic statues are bad. There's some pretty good Celtic statues of some of the deities, some of the rulers. Yeah. The Chinese were saving it up for the terracotta army. Yeah. How large of an area did the emperorship cover? So at this time, Rome was still in quarters, and there were 4 capitals. There was a capital right here in a city called Trier. There was Rome. There was a city over here. that was where, like, God, words. Good gracious. Diocletian lived in a city that's in modern-day Croatia. Right here, it's called Split. And then you had Nicomedia. That was over here, sort of the other one. So your quarters of the empire were kind of like this region. Oops, sorry. Like this like over here. And then you had kind of this region. And then you had kind of this region. And then you had kind of this area. So the empire itself was still very large. The borders were over here in Armenia. Basically, this region right here was a border. They did not have any of the southern part of Mesopotamia anymore. They did have some of this northern part of Mesopotamia. They had the region of the Levant. They had Egypt down to right about here. Northern Africa down to the edge of the Sahara, all the way up around everything in here. Iberia, all of northern France, England up to right about here. Nothing on Ireland or up into Scotland. And the border over here was basically the Rhine River, which runs kind of right here. And then the border over here was the Danube River, which ran up this way. So basically everything along the Mediterranean was theirs. It's still a pretty big empire. It's so pretty much all of modern day Europe and Turkey. Yeah, Turkey was completely involved. The Levant, some of the region that would have been Syria, some of the region that would be today modern Iraq, most of Egypt. It's a really big empire. And it's a fabulously wealthy empire as well. And one of the reasons why it got chunked into quarters was because Diocletian sort of figured out, like, look, we can't run stuff this big with one guy. It just doesn't function that way. To be honest, you really like the aesthetic of woodblock prints, especially the way that they portrayed the folds of the flow of the fabric. Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of the woodblock stuff that comes out of China is just absolutely just amazing. The amount of detail that they can get, and especially when they start figuring out like the multiple passes of the same print, so you can get like all the different colors on the same page. Good stuff. Never apologize for doing off-topic stuff. The Scots. Hey, yo, Jimute. Yeah, the Scots and the Romans didn't really get along very well. So there's a big civil war. And it gets really, really nasty. And there's a really important event that happens in the year 312. In this civil war, Constantine was not always winning. And in 312, there's a big battle at this place called the Milvian Bridge. And this was one of the bridges that was over the Tiber River. It's just north of Rome itself. Constantine's army was sort of stuck, geographically speaking.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
Vern!
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! Vern, how are you, my friend? It's good to see you. I was thinking the other day that I haven't seen you come around in a while. I'm glad to see you. How are you, my friend? I hope life is treating you well. I really do. The Tale of Sir Didymus, right? So, here's the story. Constantine's army is sort of hemmed in. And the enemy army that has sort of come out of the woodwork to take him out basically has him outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and stuck. And so Constantine knows that when this battle stretches out or starts, he's probably going to lose. And so he's sort of asking around for people, like anybody got some tactics? Anybody got some ideas? Oh, you've been a retail heck. Oh, yeah, Vern, I forgot. As a retail worker through 4 Christmases, I salute you. I understand. I feel that right here. Okay. So, Constantine's in bad spot. And according to the story, he goes out on the day before the battle. And he looks up into the sky. There's this sort of this sort of image in the sky. And he looks up into the sky, and he sees this vision of a symbol. And it looks like a P with an X across the bottom of the P. And he hears these words, and of course in Latin, because they speak Latin, it's in hoc signo vinces, which is, in this sign, go and conquer. And so he goes to his people, his soldiers and his commanders, and he's like, anybody know what this symbol means? And he sort of draws it, and again, it's like a P, like a P, but it's got an X, like right down here over the bottom of it. It's referred to as the Chi Rho. If you want to Google that, I probably should have pulled up a picture of the Chi Rho, but I didn't think about it. Ancient visions, delusions, drugs, alien mind control. OG Manifest Destiny, right? Or the PX. Yeah, it's the PX. And there is a person in his entourage that goes, Emperor, I know what that sign is. That sign is the Chi Rho, and that is the sign of the Christians. Because Chi Rho are the first two letters of Christos, which is the Greek word for Christ. And Constantine relates, well, I was told that I would go conquer by using this sign. And so what he decides to do is, all right, so here's what we're going to do. Break out the paint, and we need to go through all of our soldier shields, and we'll just paint this symbol on our shields. And maybe this will bring us luck. And they go out, and at the Battle of Milvian Bridge in 312, Constantine wins what was almost certainly an unwinnable battle. And as soon as this happens, Constantine goes, okay, now this is weird, right? Statistically speaking and tactically speaking, we were hosed. And then I paint some magic little sign on some shields, and we win. What is up with this Christ guy? And there are Christians in his army. Now, it is fair to say that being a Christian in Rome at that time was still very much illegal. And Galerius, the guy who was, one of the senior emperors, and Diocletian himself had persecuted the devil out of the Christians and was really, really beating the mess out of them. Hey, Atuna. Oh, yeah. We've still got a long way to go. Also, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So, what's up with this Christ guy? And he learns more about Christianity. There is a sneaking suspicion that his mother, whose name was Helena, was already a Christian and was influential in getting Constantine to adopt Christianity, which he does. And I cannot stress to you enough how important of a decision that is, historically speaking. At the time, Rome was still overwhelmingly following their traditional local religions that were polytheistic. The Christianity movement inside of Rome was tiny percentages of the population. There are a lot of people that try to estimate how big of a percentage Christians were at this time, and it runs all the way from like less than 10% to up to maybe 25 to 30%, depending on where you were. If you're in a big city, that's more likely. If you're in the military, that's more likely. Either way we go, it's not a lot. But now there's an emperor that is a Christian, and that's going to be really important, and we'll talk about that a lot for next stream on next Thursday. Are you saying that Constantine inspired Jules from Pulp Fiction? The quote that Jules says from Ezekiel in Pulp Fiction is not actual scripture. And what is really ironic is that I see people pop up on my Facebook feed posting that quote all the time, in a way where they think it is actually the quote from a Bible, and that is not the correct quote. Quentin Tarantino made that up. It is not the actual biblical verse that he says that it is, and I've seen people quote that honestly, which kind of makes me giggle. You're referring to the near-death experience inspiring a conversion. Okay. Maybe. The Bible, Quentin Tarantino edition. It's got lots of F-bombs in it, right? So, Constantine wins this big no-win battle. He ostensibly converts to Christianity, and after this battle, he's going to end up creating kind of a duopoly with another guy named Licinius. So instead of having 4 emperors, we're going to have 2 for a little while. There's one in the east and one in the west. This is Licinius. Now, Licinius is not really cool with Constantine's conversion to Christianity. Constantine is going to get really excited about this Christian thing, at least on the outset. And Licinius doesn't really care for this at all. At all. His eyes are, well, he only has one that's visible, and it's kind of hollowed out. Notice his neck is not too impressive. Suspect he'll fail. Well, Kyle, you're not too far from the truth, but we'll get there. So, Licinius is not really big on this Christianity thing, but Constantine was in sort of a position of power because Constantine had Rome, the city of Rome. And there's going to be a discussion here where Constantine is going to bring in Licinius and like, look, we're going to legalize Christianity. And Licinius basically gets forced into signing this thing called the Edict of Milan. The Edict of Milan is one of the most important historical documents that has ever been written. And let me pause here for just a second and explain what I mean. If this stuff had not happened, if Constantine had not converted to Christianity, and if the Edict of Milan had not been passed that legalized Christianity within the Roman Empire, there is a substantial chance, even probably bigger than a 50% chance, that Christianity would not have become the dominant religion in Rome, which means that it would not have become the dominant empire in Europe, which means that it would not have become the dominant religion when Europeans colonized everywhere, which would mean that Christianity probably would not be the dominant religion on Earth right now. This is a really, really big, important series of events that describes a lot of stuff that is still affecting the way that we live today. So it's a big, big deal. Cowabunga, Lumpy, I hope you have a great one. What was the dominant religion in Rome at the time? Is the traditional Roman religion. So we're going to worship basically all of those people that are named, that planets are named after, your Jupiters and your Saturns and your Neptunes. This was the polytheistic traditional religion. Your Hera, not that Hera's Greek, your Minervas, so the Roman pantheon, correct. There we go. So this really is a big deal. So the Edict of Milan gets passed in 313, and it says that it is no longer legal to actively persecute Christianity. So you can't persecute Christianity anymore inside of the Roman Empire. Now, Licinius, again, he doesn't really care for this very much. And there's a little bit of time where Constantine and Licinius are able to kind of get along, but Licinius is off in the east part of the empire, which has a lot more Christianity than the West does, and he doesn't like the Christians. So he kind of starts going back on his word. He's like, I don't really like this Edict of Milan thing, so I think I'm going to start killing Christians again. The Greek pantheon that was rebranded as Roman, not all of the Roman gods were Greek gods copied and pasted. They also stole gods from Egypt. They stole gods from the Etruscans. They stole gods from the Carthaginians. Look, the Romans did not just steal the Greek gods. They stole everybody's gods. It's called syncretism. That edict completely changed the course of history in a major way. It really, really did. And I know that there are points in history where I say that this is a big deal. If you've never heard me say that and really understood it, this is a big deal, right? Let's be real. Was Rome so influential due to the military or because of pizza? They didn't have pizza at that point because they did not have tomatoes. Tomatoes are a new world crop, so there was no tomato sauce to make pizza. They also didn't have ranch dressing. That's a Midwestern crop. So, no, they did not have pizza. Probably wouldn't have had the Crusades without this Constantine. Yeah, right. I mean, there would not have been lots of things. Anytime you've ever heard of the Pope getting something done, that would probably not have happened. There's a substantial chance that Islam wouldn't have happened. And when we get to talking about Islam, I'll sort of explain what I mean there. But Islam's popularity was in part because of the popularization of Christianity. Because Christianity and Judaism were sort of the bases of Islamic thought and preaching. So this has a lot of really wide-reaching impact. It really, really does. Okay, so Licinius decides it's time to start persecuting Christians again, and this kind of gets Constantine upset. So Licinius starts trying to kill Constantine, and there are a couple of attempts on Constantine's life, and it is a tenuous relationship at best. And when the assassination attempts start happening, Constantine decides, all right, we're going to war. And so there's another civil war between Constantine and Licinius, and Licinius gets captured and sort of given a trial. And at that point, Constantine condemns him to death for breaking the laws of Rome, and he gets the hanged, like the short walk off the long walk off the short pier, rather. Constantine also catches Licinius's son and has him killed too, just for good measure, right? The Edict of Milan also prevented fetch from happening. Come on, Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. So, by the time we get to 324, Constantine has unified the empire. So he is once again one ruler to rule them all. And he has reunified the halves of the Roman Empire, but he still understands that Rome as a city is still too far from the center of the action. So he starts looking for a new place to rule. He's got to find a new birth for Rome. He's going to try to find a way to revitalize Rome, but also show that they're turning a page and they're moving to a new sort of golden age of Rome. The first Christian emperor is still an emperor. Hang the opposition. Yeah, for real though. He was still printing coins. Well, and I'll show you one in just a second, where he's dressed as pagan gods. He still allowed a group of priests to open temples in his name to worship him as a deified emperor. That big statue that I showed you that was standing up in the city of Rome, that had him dressed as a pagan god, the god Sol Invictus. So the whole Christianity thing was a little bit fuzzy around the edges, if you just really want to be the truth of it. Why Rome when you can roam? Who knows, man? Who knows? There's no place like Rome. There's no place like Rome. Indeed. So what does Constantine do? Well, he starts building a whole bunch of stuff. And at this point, I get to put on the adventure hat again. Bum-ba-da-bum. Adventure. And I'll throw myself some adventure hat emotes in there. I didn't get to throw adventure hat emotes last time, so I'll throw some this time. And we'll get to look at this. This is the Arch of Constantine. This is in Rome, and it's actually right on the other side of this road from the Colosseum. So if you panned this direction about 45 degrees, you would see the big wall of the Colosseum right here. But this arch is put up by Constantine to basically celebrate his victories. And you can see all of these great friezes where he's doing cool things and he's meeting with people and he's having great military victories. There's a big panel right here where he's beating up some bad guys that are Germanic barbarians. He's making peace. He's allowing the Senate to vote. He's issuing decrees and meeting with people. Here are his generals and his cool people that have helped him get to the position. So this is the Arch of Constantine. And just behind it is a marijuana dispensary. Actually, just behind it is a big hill that has a whole bunch of other Roman remains on it. T-Smiles, man, you know, I would really actually like to be famous, but I think I would prefer to get there like kind of organically. I feel like I don't need to pay for followers because if I'm just being real honest, I don't have the money to. So I appreciate the offer though. You tried to ban him. Tuna, if you just yelled ban long enough, it's okay, right? If every time, every time somebody says you don't believe in spammers, a spammer dies somewhere, right? Okay. So at the halfway point of the show, since we've got a lot of new friends in, I do want to remind everybody that we are running a charity stream for Starlight Charities, which helps kids that are in the hospital play games, video games, board games, try to find some way to keep themselves a little bit happier, a little bit occupied, especially for long-term care children. So we are running a campaign to raise some money for Starlight. We're doing it this stream, next stream on Tuesday, and next stream on Thursday. So if you are in a position that you want to, you can click on that little link right there and do some donation, and we'll get to that goal one way or the other, right? You went to the ban button and you realized that you're in the wrong channel to do that. Kyle, if you want to, man, I can give you mod stuff. I just figured that you might want a break from having to constantly do mod stuff. I know that when I'm in David's channel or the other channels that I mod in, I kind of like get switched into mod mode, and sometimes I find myself like being more moddy. Not that it's a bad thing, like I don't mind it. It's not going to hurt my feelings or anything, and I appreciate the fact that people have given me the trust to be a mod, and I'm not asking to be demodded or anything like that. I like the fact that it's a thing that I can do, but sometimes I'm just like, oh. My channel doesn't really need much modding. Yeah, I'm not so big. I don't have a lot of people that show up. Sometimes I get, I don't know. Like, it is what it is. I'm happy with it. It's okay. Cool. Anyway, so there's the Arch of Constantine. It's a pretty cool thing. So Constantine starts building this stuff. He also starts doing some kind of shady things. But he is the emperor of the entire Roman Empire. Mostly Shane just needs a mods to undo auto mod. Yeah, pretty much. Somebody to click the it's okay to say this. It's okay to say but, right? Yeah. I know what you meant, Kyle. And all of the channels that I'm in mods are that I am a mod in are also great channels. I am not complaining about any of that stuff. David's channel is amazing. They have great people, or he has great people there. The other channels that I'm mods in are great channels. Steve's channel is a great channel. And Elephant. Woo! There we go. Thank you, Elephant. Much appreciated. And we're almost there. It'll take a little while, but it'll pop up on the old ticker there. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say here other than I'm sleep deprived and my brain is shot and I'm trying to say words and they're not coming out the right way. I heart being a mod. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I know sometimes it's a different experience if you're having to mod and not having to mod. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. Words. Lots of words. Anyway, Constantine starts stealing stuff. Most notably, stuff from really cool places, and he wants to take the stuff from the other cool places and put them in the places that he is, because he's the big, fat, cool emperor guy. And once again, we get to put on the adventure hat. Lots of adventure hat today. Because I've been to a lot of these places. Adventure hat. So this guy, this is what is referred to as the Lateran obelisk. Constantine set the bar for the British museums? Yeah, pretty much. As you can tell, this obelisk came from Egypt. Anonymous, thank you for that donation. Much appreciated. Adventure indeed. Adventure indeed. So this big, cool obelisk at the time was the largest obelisk in the world. And it was down in Egypt. And Constantine's like, you know what? It'd be really cool if I, Flavius Constantinus, Maximus Augustus, Christianity, the faithful Christian conqueror, took this obelisk from Egypt. Anyway, you can read the Latin if you want to. So he brings this to Rome. Because why not? Because it's cool that way. Things Jesus did not say. If you're an emperor, go ahead and take all the stuff. New York City has an obelisk, so you can't say very much. Pretty much. So he's a museum, indeed. But it's not just Rome, right? He's got this other place. And this other place is Constantinople. Now, at the time, there was a village already at this little location. And he picked this location on purpose for several reasons. Number one, it was much more central to the empire. Number two, it's highly defensible because this little peninsula right here has some kind of narrow spots where if you are an emperor, you can build some walls that can protect a large amount of area, including farmable land. Yeah, you can farm behind the walls. And the little fishing village of Byzantium becomes Constantinople. And this is going to be his new capital of Rome and the seat of the government. He is going to move to Constantinople and rule from there. Now, if you're going to be an emperor and go to Constantinople, and you're going to, you brought all the cool stuff to Rome, you kind of got to bring stuff to Constantinople too. So we get to put the adventure hat back on. Bum, ba, da, bum. Because I've been to Constantinople too. Throw some more adventure hats in the chat. And we're going to look at this thing. You have the great "They Might Be Giants" song stuck in your head. Yeah, I was briefly trying to figure out how we could make "They Might Be Giants" part of the pun for the title tonight, but I don't know. It didn't work out for me. Highly defensible? How could this come back as play in the future? I don't know, Tuna. I don't know. Romans carved their monuments like my parents write their text messages. Okay, so what is this thing? It looks like just a weird little spirally thing, but this is originally going to have heads of two serpents up here that have since fallen off and been lost into antiquity. But this is referred to as the serpent column. And if you go to Greece, to the city of Delphi, the oracle at Delphi was one of the most important religious sites in all of Greece. And you can see a replica of this thing, and they'll even tell you, look, it's the serpent column. The thing is, it's not the real serpent column. It's a fake one in Delphi, because this is the real one. Because guess what? Constantine stole it. he's like, yeah, we're going to bring the Oracle of Delphi, and we're going to put that in Constantinople. Now, there's actually a really pagan reason for this, because Delphi was a location of Apollo. There was a temple to Apollo there, and Apollo was one of these sort of quasi-solar deities that Constantine really liked to ally himself with. Incredible hunk! Incredible hunk. Hey, man. What's up? It's been a minute. How's it going, man? I hope you're doing great. I hope that the world is treating you in the way that I would treat you if I were taking care of you. And no, it is not the world's largest that. Stole it and broke it. It wasn't broken when he got it. He didn't break it. It was broken at some point in antiquity. Fun fact, Figment and I actually saw that together with another one of our colleagues. I took that photo while I was in Istanbul hanging out with Figment and another colleague of mine named Dan. Doing well, just busy as heck. How are you and your better half? Honestly, like right now, I am worn the heck out. Haven't been sleeping well. Work has been kicking my butt, but it's the end of the semester, so it always sort of gets into butt-kicking mode. If I get through this week and the very beginning part of next week, things will even out and become much more smooth sailing. I'm in good health. I'm just really tired. Things are great with my wife. Is still enjoying her job, doing a great job at it. We're doing pretty good. I'm glad that you're doing well. Next week is finals. Yeah, next week is finals for me, and it's kind of all downhill after that. Don't let Shane take care of you. He will steal your chicken all the time. I only steal the chicken when she won't come onto camera. And, you kind of have to do something to help that out. All right, so we've got Constantine. He's ruling the empire. What is he going to do next? Well, he starts reforming basically everything. Can't wait for work yet, break. For work yet, break, then back in spring. I guess I understand. Words. So Constantine, he's ruling the country. He gets to reform everything. What is he going to reform? Everything. Okay, so first off, politics. There had been some really big issues in the political ranks of Rome between two groups of political factions. One of those were the people that were the senatorial rank, who were sort of the traditional old money powerhouse families of Rome, and these new political people called equestrians, who were sort of the people that were getting all of the new good jobs. They're called equestrians, by the way, because they were the people that could afford horses in the Roman military. And so these were sort of new money people that were trying to get into the good positions and get into the governors of the provinces and get into the curule aediles and all these different little functional parts of the Roman government, the aediles and praetors and etc. There's a lot of social rifts that were going on between the senatorial class and the equestrian class. And one of the things that Constantine did was basically to say, you don't matter at all. Like, neither of you really matter. And as a way to basically make them stop fighting, he kind of just absorbed all of their power. He eliminated a lot of the remaining official power that was held by the Senate. He basically made all positions appointable by him, the emperor. So, how old was he at this time? That's a good question. I'm going to have to do math. So this would have been... so he beat Licinius and unified Rome in 324. He was born in 272, right? Math calculator. Where's my calculator? Calculator. 324. 4 minus 272 equals... He would have been 52 at this point. 52. The Bugattian is the modern equivalent. I don't get that reference. His motto. This is mine now. Right. Okay, so he's no Alexander. No. He's almost double of an equestrian. Oh, I got you. Okay. So to keep the peace, he basically says, neither of you really matter anymore. You can stop fighting. I'm in charge. And that makes everybody mad, but that's okay because he's the emperor and he's in charge. What about social stuff? He is a really big guy on morality. He wants everybody to be a good old-fashioned Roman and follow the good old-fashioned Roman morals. And he doesn't want people to do stuff like adultery, and he doesn't want people to run around making bad checks or making bad business deals. So he passes a lot of laws that are sort of going to re-hedge the Roman morality in the legal code. And that's actually potentially going to come back to hurt him in a minute, potentially, but we'll get there when we get there. Be good or I'll hang you and your kids. You're not too far from the truth there, Vipers. What is this? DJ Jaina. Boom. Blows it up. There we go. We hit it. Look. Look, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. Congratulations. Look at there. Ain't that grand? DJ just had to it was just tempting. Just like hanging right there and like, don't you want to finish this off? Thank you, DJ. And thank you to all donators. We have hit our mark. I might push that up for the next stream. We might just let it ride. I don't know. We'll see. Just because we have topped it out, though, don't think that you have to stop or that you can't continue to donate. We can continue to take donations if you are so inclined. If not, maybe spread the word and tell people that there are a whole bunch of streamers that are doing this stuff, and maybe bring some friends over and hang out by the fire and listen to a really pasty white dude talk about weird history stuff. Or Tolkien, as it will be on Tuesday. So either way, we'll have some fun. So we're going to straighten everybody out. Also, we're going to pass a lot of laws that deal with civil life. And these are going to be laws that become super duper important a little bit later on. For example, he passes a lot of laws that make certain jobs hereditary. And you're like, what does that mean? Well, he makes a law that says basically if your father is a butcher, you must be a butcher. Or if your father is a baker, you must be a baker. And that seems kind of weird. Like, why would you do that? But he does that because he was trying to make sure that there were enough of these sort of civic duties to keep things moving. Because with population shifts and with constant warfare, there were issues with food supply, just to be honest. So he's trying to make sure that the civic order continues to function. Hey, a tropical geek, good to see you. How are you tonight? Step 1, make friends. Step 2, bring them to a fire. Step 3, burn them. No, do not burn your friends. Don't burn your friends. And what do we burn apart from witches? More witches! I would make a very bad computer programmer. I'm glad you don't have to follow those rules. Pretty much, right? Friends do not burn friends, right? So, what's interesting about this particular law, where he is kind of making trades hereditary, is that this tendency creates what becomes guilds. So if you're familiar with how the medieval world works, and you know things like Carpenter's Guild and Mason's Guild, those guilds trace themselves back to the sort of laws that Constantine passed while he was emperor, because this started creating fraternities or collegia of these professionals. And this really is the beginning of the guild system, because it was a group of people that were constantly together and they were always doing the same sort of thing, and they had like minds, and they're trying to get their job done well, and this is what turns into medieval guilds. So I'm telling you, Constantine has a really long-lasting effect. Also, he passes laws that deal with tenant farmers. So a tenant farmer was a person who had basically lost their own land or did not have enough money to purchase their own land, and they did not have a special skill set. So basically, they were not an artisan. Their only value, economically speaking, was their labor. So they would go to a large landowner and they would basically take a job farming. And so this is basically a tenant farmer. Constantine passed a law that basically tied them to that job. All right. And it said that if you were a tenant farmer, you were permanently a tenant farmer. The only way that you could stop being a tenant farmer is if you had some other specific job skill, like you learned how to be a blacksmith or you learned how to be a lawyer or something. But if you were a tenant farmer, you were stuck. And this literally kind of created legal bonds between these big farm owners and the people working their farms. And if that sounds like feudalism to you, it's because it's feudalism. What Constantine is doing here is creating a situation where poor people that did not have any other economic means to support themselves were literally tied to the, not literally, but metaphorically tied to the land and could not run away. He ended up passing another law that said if a tenant farmer tries to run away, you should put them in bonds like a slave so that they cannot flee, and you should force them to work. And again, part of this is because of the issue with food, because food was a really hard thing to come by, especially when there are so many wars going on and so many of the young men are being brought to the front lines to battle against these barbarian invasions. So it's a mess. It's a mess. Wait, so Constantine also created frat boys? Maybe. But the Thieves Guild, the College of Winterhold, the Dark Brotherhood, we know. So people with last names that are professionals, like Cooper, probably owe it to Constantine in some way. Yeah, Vern, that's not an unfounded assertion. It's chariot teams, but for barrel makers and bakers. Pretty much. Pretty much. So Constantine is laying the ground for what becomes feudalism in Europe, which is the dominant economic principle for the next 1,200 years. This guy does a lot. And he's not even done. He also decides that they needed to overhaul the monetary system. And he literally starts creating new types of coins, including one called the solidus, which looks like this. It is a solid gold coin. And here we see Constantine. And here we see him dressed as a pagan god, carrying a Roman battle standard, which was decorated almost always with pagan imagery. Neck game is on point. We're doing like neck diameter checks here. Like, yeah, okay, that's a good neck. So this solidus is a game changer, because if you'll remember, one of the things that Diocletian had to deal with when he was emperor was this sort of runaway inflation, and the coins of the Roman Empire had become very debased, right? So they said that they were gold coins, but if you melted them down, they would only be like 60% gold or maybe 70% gold. So Constantine starts making these solid gold coins, hence solidus, and he makes them at a rate of 72 per pound. So you get a pound of gold, and then you divvy it up into 72 pieces, and boom, you make a solidus out of it. What is their name for how many fingers to break for the cracked lip? My cousin Vinny needs to know before I send him out. Fun fact, you switch from phone to PC for the stream. Techman, I don't know. This isn't a cracked lip, by the way. I have a fever blister. When I get stressed out and tired, I typically break out with a fever blister. So nobody came after me. Just have a fever blister. Surprised no one has made Constantine the cryptocurrency yet. And Vipers, as soon as you said that, somebody has been incepted with that, and they'll make Constantine next, and it'll be a solid gold Solitas. The Solitas is the answer to Rome's problems. It almost completely eliminates inflation. It completely brings it under control. And the Solitas is the staple of Roman currency for about the next 500 years. About the next 500 years. The Solitas becomes the mode and the base of Roman economy. And you find solidi all over the ancient world. You find these as far away as places like Japan. I'm not joking. There were some archaeologists doing some excavations below a castle in Japan and found a cache that included some solidi from Rome from Constantine's son, a period of time, a guy named Constantine II. On day 2 of the 12 days of streaming, the campaign of our team has raised $4.8 thousand of the $5,000 goal we set out for the Starlight Children's Foundation. Can we smash it tonight? Maybe so, Black Apple Creative. Maybe so. We're trying to do our part. I hope that it goes well. It could be done on day 2 of 12, and then everything else is just great icing on the cake, right? But we'll see. Okay, so he reforms the money. The money. Gotta fix the money. What else does he fix? Well, how about infrastructure? Because, that's apparently something that people spend a lot of money on, right? These $1 trillion infrastructure bills, right? Constantine starts making a ton of roads. And a lot of these roads are tying back to Constantine himself. Well, not like they're tying into him, but like he's in Constantinople now, which is a new city. So he needs new roads leading people to him. And you've heard the phrase, all roads lead to Rome. That's not necessarily the case, even in the ancient world when Rome was the center of the government and the seat of the government. But he wants to bring people to him, right? Joining in late, hey, Metran, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. And I get to put on the adventure hat one more time. I told you that there was lots of adventure hat tonight. Because we are going to get to look at something that's kind of neat. Bee. It's a big rock. Look. It's a big rock. Yeah. Whee. What is this? Well, this is what's called the Million Stone. Yeah. This is basically in the center of what the old city of Constantinople would have been if you looked at the footprint. And Constantine called this location the Umbilicus Civile, the center of civilization. And when you were measuring a Roman mile and you saw a Roman mile marker, it would have a number on it. And it would have sometimes they had multiple mile markers, and it's sort of like a way to keep up with how far away you are. So if you're driving in the United States and you pass a mile marker, you'll know that it'll tell you how many miles you are from the state line. This is the marker. So if you passed a Roman mile marker, it would tell you how many miles you were away from this stone. The navel of the city. Bam ba-dum. Bam ba-dum, bam bam. Black Apple Creative, thank you for the follow, and welcome to the adventure. Hope you're having a great one. So yeah, aren't all rocks old? Well, theoretically, but some of them are. Yeah, the city navel. Yeah, the city navel, right? That was awkward? Why was that awkward? What was the distance of a Roman mile? So it's shorter than what the Americans would call a mile. And it had a little bit to do with, it's kind of a, okay, so let's be real. The Roman measurement system was standardized, but it wasn't really like super standardized, and there was a little bit of a flex thing here. So the Roman mile was 5,000 Roman feet. And that is according to the Roman world. And of course, our miles in America are 5,280 feet. But our feet is a little bit different than their feet. So it's not quite the same. It's roughly the same. The Roman mile is a little bit shorter than a imperial mile. And I can't remember how many meters that. I think it's like 1,500 meters to make anybody feel. You thought you followed already, and then post. Oh no! It's don't worry about it. We're all friends here. You don't ever have to worry about that. Carry on. What's this about Constantine lead talk? I got you. I appreciate that one. Anyway, so yeah, Constantine overhauls everything, and it's kind of a bottom to top refit of the Roman world. And the stuff that he does is going to basically make Rome last. Because Rome was in a bad spot, let's just be honest. They had gone through massive civil war. They had gone through really bad inflation. They'd had foreign invaders. They had barbarian invasions. I didn't even talk about the military reform. He overhauled the military too. One of the problems with the Roman military was that the legions, as they were being moved around, were a little bit too big and unwieldy. So he would still post legions in certain areas, but instead of the legions being all clumped up and moving an entire legion at a time, he broke them into smaller units that were designed for mobility, and especially started pushing the concept of auxiliary troops that were mounted. So the reorganization here of the military is designed at being a faster response. You see the bad guys, you can put some troops there to slow them down, you can get word out to the rest of the people faster, and you can make a faster response to any sort of invasion. So this is, again, this dude is really big, and he's really, really important. And he is one of the biggest reasons why Rome in the West lasts another 176 years after him, and why Rome in the East lasts another 1,300 years, right? You got to admit, he set up a system that has endurance, a religion that is still around today, a system of money that lasts 500 years. Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's really, really important. He's really, really important. And so you ask yourself, who could follow this? Who's going to step into his footsteps? Well, there are some people that could possibly step in. His oldest son is a guy named Crispus, who is not that guy, this guy. This is his eldest son, a guy named Crispus. And Crispus was sort of being groomed to lead. Crispus flakes, right? So Crispus was Crispus, like that, Crispus. Anyway, this guy was sort of being told, like, you're gonna probably take over next. And here's where stuff gets kind of squirrely. Crispus ends up doing something that makes Constantine very, very angry. And then Constantine poisons his own son. So what went down there? Like, how do you do something bad enough that dad decides to poison you? Metrand with the assassin, right? So, how does dad poison you? Well, this is where it gets weird. So, we don't really know why. the only historical account that we have that suggests a reason comes from several hundred years later. And the historian that wrote this document claims that the reason Constantine poisoned his son was that Constantine's eldest son was having an affair with Constantine's second wife. So Crispus's mother had passed away, and Constantine had remarried this lady named Fausta. And the scuttlebutt goes that Crispus had the eyes for Fausta and was secretly having relations behind Constantine's back. That's kind of skeptical. They were very frequently in cities that were really, really far apart. Crispus was usually up on the frontier in the city of Trier, kind of leading the defense up there. And of course, Fausta would have been in either Rome or Milan or Constantinople. Doesn't seem believable that she'd go for a weak necklace. Right? So we don't really know. But here's the weird twist. Fausta also gets killed. And she gets killed by Constantine. Like at his command. We're being visited by a puppy. Would you all like to see the puppy? Would you like to see the puppy? Okay, come here. Come on. Come and see me. Hello. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you just coming to say hello? Oh my goodness. You want your neck scratched? Oh yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, scratch my neck. Oh goodness gracious. Oh, that feels so good. Hello. Are you going to give me some sugars? Oh, thank you. Oh, some more sugars. Oh, so gracious. Did you want anything? Are you just coming to say hi? What? I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. Woof. You nutty dog. Oh my goodness. You're a good girl, though. Do you want to come back up here and see me? You can come back up here and see me. What? You want to sniff the adventure hat? You want to wear the adventure hat? No, I do not want to wear the adventure hat. Do not put the hat on me. There we go. There we go. You want me to take it off? You can sniff it. It's just a hat. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go stream. Is that okay? Whoa. I don't know what that means. You go see Brittany. She'll take care of you. I've done something to the chair and it doesn't want to turn back around. There we go. You're going to call him Crispus Oedipus the Dead from now on? Oh, that would have been awkward Thanksgiving dinners? Yeah. Right. Right. How's she doing? Yeah, she's doing okay. She has healed up from the incisions. She's done with the medication for the incisions. She's pretty much back to her normal self, I would say. She had a few days where she was really, really, tired. But I mean, she had big surgery and they took out a whole bunch of stuff, right? So, but she's doing all right. I think she's definitely on the mend and she's back on the right track and she's definitely back to her crazy puppy ways. So, who says Crispix is crispy ×2 when Crispix is a lot of crispy drama, right? So Crispus is dead. Fausta is also dead. So it could have been that they had something going on. And the reason I mentioned that the morality laws might have been an issue here was if for some reason Fausta was caught having extramarital relations, Constantine would have had a legal precedent to kill her because of these new morality laws. So it might have been that there was something going on. We really don't know, and it's hard to say. However, when it comes to naming a successor, Constantine, so Leviticus, pretty much. Constantine is going to split the empire up. I should note, Crispus is dead. And he splits it up between 4 of his family members. All right, so let's go through these. This guy. This is Constantine II. This is the eldest son of his second wife. This statue of him is in Rome. There is... Ooh, what happened there? Splitting up the empire, that usually goes well. Oh yeah. To keep it in the family. Keep it in the family. We have this guy who is Constantius II, named after Constantine's father. Constantius II is the second son of Constantine's second wife. Nepotism. Oh, it's total nepotism. We have this guy whose name is Constans. This is the third son of his second wife. And then we have this guy whose name is Dalmatius. And Dalmatius is his nephew. So these 4 men are going to... that guy was just a coin. Well, we'll talk about that. So these 4 guys all get pieces of the empire. And he designates what pieces they get before he dies. And he makes sure that they all sort of swear that they'll take care of each other and that they'll stand together. And Constantine was wise enough to know that even though he had been capable of ruling the entire empire, that was not going to be very probable in the future. And he actually did appreciate Diocletian's concept of splitting up the empire between junior and senior emperors. He really did seem to appreciate that because he brought back a lot of those titles. The junior emperors and the senior emperors, the Augusti and the Caesari. So he's going to sort of recreate Diocletian's model, but instead of no sons, it's going to be like all family. So 3 sons and a nephew. And Diocletian had these good ideas because of the size of Rome and the value of the territory and the need of being able to be quick responding to the borders. Constantine is wise enough to recognize that Diocletian didn't have it completely wrong. And in 337, Constantine is going to die. And when that happens, the empire splits into 4 pieces. Random thought. I wonder if the phrase coined the phrase was coined by writing a phrase on a coin. Yes, actually. So coined the phrase is a syllogism that comes from things being written on coins. Right? So coins typically have what's called a legend. So you can see here that there are words on the coin. This is glory. I would bet this says justice. And is that glory? Is that Pax? I can't tell. Like glory, peace, and justice. So that would have been like his phrase. Let's see if we can see. No, that's not going to have the good legend on it. That's going to be his title. Here we go. Princeps. That's so the prince or the prince that is just the just prince is what this one says. So yeah, you're not wrong there, Vipers. E pluribus unum, right. E pluribus unum means from many we are one. So here's the empire, and here's how it gets broken down. Did Constantinople get split between 2 empires? No. Constantinople at the point is only going to be right here, and it's only at that time on this side. So here's who gets what. Over here, we get Constantine II. This is the eldest son. He's going to get Britannia, Mauritania, and Iberia, and most of France. All right. Then we have Constance. Constance is going to get Northern Africa and the Danube frontier and Italy. Then we have Dalmatius. This is the nephew who gets the island of Crete, the Balkan Peninsula here, and what is basically considered Thrace. And then we have Constantius II, who gets the Anatolian Peninsula, the Levantine region, and Africa and Cyrenia, which is sort of this region right here of Africa. And that's going to be the way that it lasts for about that long, because Constantine dies in 337, and then before the year is even done, Constantine II goes, I really don't like the fact that cousin Dalmatius has the capital, so we're going to assassinate Dalmatius. So Dalmatius gets to be emperor for like a hot minute before Constantine arranges for his assassination. And Constantine II is like, we're just going to keep this in the brothers, all right? The brothers. Yeah, oh dang, that person is straight up, because his name doesn't start with Constant, right? So Constantine, Constantius, or Constance, no, not Dalmati. No, we don't want Dalmatian, right? Very King Lear, pretty much. A lot of Shakespeare's tropes came from the fact that he had read a lot of these histories, right? CCC, like 300, right? So we can't have Dalmatius. All right, and that is actually where we're going to end for the night, because that was enough. Constantine took the empire from falling apart, reformed basically everything, made a new capital city, overhauled walls, did a whole bunch of stuff. We will talk about who gets the capital in the next time we talk about this stuff, because that's a little bit of a contentious point, as you might expect. We always kind of have to leave on the cliffhanger. Which of the brothers likes the other? You'll come by next time and find out. Well, not actually next time. Next time we have to talk about a shift that basically shook the world. Cliffhangers of history, right? All right, ladies and gents, that is actually going to do it for me. As always, though, just because I am done talking doesn't mean that we have to be done. If you have any questions about this material, or if there's anything that I can clarify for you, does Spartacus get the capital? No, Spartacus has been dead at this point for about 600 years. No, not that long. About 400 years. Excellent stream. Oh, yeah, cool. Much appreciated, Kyle. I'm glad that you could be here. So, just to remind everybody, the next scheduled stream, where I will definitely be here, is same stream time, same stream channel, but next week on Tuesday, instead of doing an a viewer request, we're going to actually catch up on the History of Middle Earth stream that I've owed you all now for about 2 months that I haven't had time to schedule. So we're going to do History of Middle Earth next Tuesday. When we come back next Thursday for our regularly scheduled adventure in history, we are going to talk about Rome converting to Christianity. And I am going to give that an entire stream because I really do feel like this is a pivotal moment in history that a lot of things sit on top of. So we're going to have lots of discussion about that. Okie doke. So I am currently looking at a schedule-y thing here because I am going to try to raid us into one of the other 12 days of streaming charity streams. If I can locate them. And I think I can because I have a spreadsheet. And it's a spreadsheet, so everybody reads spreadsheets, right? So I think I know where we're going to go, but let me just double check that that person is actually streaming. Oh, shush you. All right. It does appear that that person is streaming.
Susie posted
I don't want you to automatically play stuff, Twitch. I don't want you to. All right. So we are going to go raid Princess Kate, who is currently playing Pokemon. But Princess Kate is also part of the 12 Days of Streaming charity stream that I am doing now, which we will be doing again on Tuesday, and we will be doing again on Thursday. Let me remind everybody one more time that if you are interested, I am taking place in a donation stream, and if you want to give some to Starlight Children Foundation, which is a foundation that tries to help kids that are in the hospital, get them access to some games and some entertainment while they're in the hospital, you're welcome to donate following that link or any other link. Got a fancy dinner with a secret lecture held by the Archaeology Institution at your uni tomorrow. Ooh. Metrand, I would be really interested to hear what the secret lecture is. You're going to go give Eris a visit. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, yeah, we're going to go raid Princess Kate. I am going... Well, if I can... Where am I doing here? Oh, man, I'm still... Need more coffee. Drink the coffee. Okay. Rating. All right. Doing some Pokemon. I quite like Pokemon. I played the original Pokemon way back in the day. It's a good game. I haven't played any of the newer ones, but, you know, it's cool. Again, I'm going to hit the button, but I'll do my thank yous. Thank you all so very much. Thank you, Vern, for the sub. It's good to see you. Hunk, if you're still around, man, it was really great to see you, and I hope you're doing well. I hope everybody's having a great one. I will definitely see you again next Tuesday, and then again next Thursday. As always, there's a pretty good chance that I'll be doing some Gundam stuff over the weekend where you're welcome to come in and hang out. Otherwise, please take care of yourselves. Do something nice for somebody, and don't tell them about it. Just that's your homework. Do something nice for somebody and don't tell them about it. And just rest in the comfort that you've made somebody's life better, right? That's your homework, and I hope you take it seriously. I do need sleep. That is absolutely true. So I'm going to hit this button, and we're going to go raid Princess Kate. Again, I've never been to Princess Kate's channel, but I feel like Princess Kate is probably a great streamer, so show them the love. Our battle cry, as always, is adventure. If you have those beautiful adventure hats, you can throw those into the chat with adventure and some exclamation-y points. I hope you all have a great weekend if I don't see you again until Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. It makes it easy when I'm tired like this that everybody is so great and participates and asks great questions. I really do appreciate this. I can't... I have a hard time saying how much I enjoy doing this, but it really is very fulfilling and is frequently one of the better parts of my day. So thank you all. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.